I think of it as it's creative, relational, external processing of ideas. But I think one of the really valid criticisms of TLC is that it's like that cartoon, like that single pane cartoon where it's just like lines of people who like want to talk about how they want to change the world, and it's just like backed up around the corner, and then lines of people that are actually doing something, and it's just like no one's there. So that's an aspect of TLC that I don't like. I don't have very much interest in that, which is why if I start a live stream or something, like even now, I already feel the clock ticking. Like I have to be done with this soon because I have shit to do. Like I can't just sit here not accomplishing things. Or it's one of the reasons I really like doing construction things or building a window well or whatever, because it's just, I feel good. Like I will feel great about that window well that I made for years.
Do you think that's it's kind of, it goes back to like the medium is the message thing. Do you think that's that's actually like what TLC, whatever we want to call that, what it almost invites you to do?
Take it back to the real world?
No, I'm actually thinking the opposite.
Okay.
Out of it. I'm actually thinking that like TLC and like internet conversations and stuff like that, like it invites at least a certain kind of personality to just think the only thing that matters is that everyone agrees with me. So I need to get online and tell everyone how I feel about everything, think about everything, as opposed to doing something, right? It's like, it's almost like draws you out of it. I know we were having the whole argument about video games on the chat earlier, but like, I think that's probably the criticism that Sam would have of like video games. It's like, it takes you out of the real world and into this other thing. And I think that like there is a danger of like TLC being that. I mean, same thing with podcasts or anything else, right? Is you can just be like, or politics, the only thing that matters is the biggest thing that we all talk about and that kind of stuff, as opposed to being like, hey, like my neighbor needs some help or something, right? And so I don't know if it's a feature or a bug, but I think it can be a detriment to people to think that like, the most important thing is for me to just like chat online with people, as opposed to building something. And I get that way too. Like I can lose myself in podcasts and everything else and just listening and talking and chatting and that kind of stuff and convincing people that, about my opinions on everything. And I just wonder like whether or not like we would all just be better off, like just, like we were talking about earlier, Luke, like just make some better coffee for your church. Maybe that's actually better and more impactful. Like maybe.
I was having this conversation with my wife about, because one of our biggest family struggles is technology, and with kids, and just arguing with them about technology and screen time and cell phone time, and we do screen-free Sundays, and it's just like a battle every time. And largely because of TLC and online friendships, it's like I would know none of you guys except for the internet or Sam. And I have people that I dearly love because of the internet. And I often think of like, is it just kind of like an old man response to just be like, this thing is going to take us out of the world? Because people said that of literature. People said that of novels. People have said that about every technology. And it makes me think of
Plato said it about poetry.
To steelman it, and I really don't have, I'm just playing devil's advocate, is maybe video games or this are fine and they're just a new way that we're doing things. Unless, I don't know, I think it's pretty clear. Like you can take the worst case example of like somebody who's online and not even passively listening while they're working for like 16, 18 hours a day. Like that's not what we're talking about. Like that, I think, is probably some sort of addiction or coping or unhealthy thing, Yeah. I don't know.
I think it's just more, it's kind of like saying, sugar is addictive, right? And so like if you think about like the sweetest thing that you would have gotten 1,000 years ago, it'd been like what, honey, right? A carrot, something like that, right? But now we've distilled it down into something really refined, and you can almost like freebase. And I think that can be what like the internet and this kind of stuff can be, is that you replace. It's so easy and rewarding to replace it and see the chat scrolling and the likes and everything else like that. It's much more than you could have gotten writing a letter 1,000 years ago or something.
Yeah, the feedback, affirmation,
right.
It's fast, and you can do it without a lot of
no effort.
Yes, even things like writing longhand versus typing versus writing on a computer, and the different demands that has on you and how those different mediums play into the creative act. I don't know, it's fascinating stuff. Because this can be very easy, obviously. Like, I put very little effort into it. When I live stream, I'm just like, boom, these are all the things that I'm thinking, and then I just start talking. Which is also my wife, when I was going into saying, well, maybe I'll just do a video every day where I just go for an hour and I just do something. And she's like, can you just talk for an hour? And she's like, yeah, you could. Just go talk to yourself for an hour.
And the thing is, I'm not even saying that I'm convinced that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that that's like there's probably a place for that like cathartic, just like I need to like talk to someone about this, and it is easier to talk to people that like, oh, now I have this person that just happens to live, in Minnesota, right, that I can talk to about something that is I find interesting. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that like there is something about the internet that can go too far, where people just, instead of actually trying to like live life and those kind of things, they kind of like it's an escape from life, I feel like, and I think that's where it goes too far. I'm very online too, so this is as much a criticism of myself as everyone else, so I'm not trying to criticize anyone, but like that's kind of one of my worries, is like whenever I see like people that are just like they're always in the comment section or whatever, I'm just like, maybe like, I don't know, go do something, go like play with your kid, I don't know.
Well, and it's so much easier online too, like because you don't have to deal with the person in your everyday life. If you have a disagreement with someone online, one, you're going to get a lot of people who are affirming your disagreement and backing you up, and then two, you don't have to see that person, you don't have to interact with them.
Like you can disagree with someone and not be antisocial. But yeah, no, I think that's true. I don't know. And so it just like gets me thinking, like, should I like, I don't know, like maybe I do spend too much time just like in my own little world, this own like digital world that I've created for myself. And maybe I should like volunteer more. Maybe I should go to like, I don't know, like maybe I should go to mass every morning. Like, would that be better for me? Would that be better for the world around me? I don't know, maybe.
I always think of the green lady in Paralandra, how when she's being tempted, she's shown herself, and how that really is what we're doing when we're online, because we're curating it, but it's also being curated for us based on what we are attracted to or what we spend time looking at. Right. So I always think of that.
Yeah.